Alrighty guys, 'tis I, ChrissieGirl. Welcome to part 6 of my LEGO Harry Potter is 5 to 7 playthrough. And in the last part we got introduced to Thestrals, so now at the moment we're at a loading screen. I suppose that's one thing that's different from years 1 to 4 is that there's, different sort of loading screens based on each year you're in. In year 5 we obviously have Filch, banging around with his hammer on top of that tall ladder. There's a different one for year 6, a different one for years 7, and obviously the second half of year 7. So anyway, it's now been officially decided that Harry is going to be a teacher for Defence Against the Dark Arts, behind Umbridge's back, of course. We wouldn't be stupid to let her know what we were up to. So obviously we're going to go into Hogsmeade and recruit a whole bunch of people. Why does it always seem to be snowing in Hogsmeade? Well, we're not actually in Hogsmeade yet. We're kind of on the outskirts. But still, it always seems to be snowing. Anyway, this is actually the second level of the game. Well, and the second level of 5th year. Just got to keep digging and we help one of the students who obviously we need to recruit. Find his wand and give it to him, and then he'll be recruited. I think that's Dean Thomas, a fellow Gryffindor. It was just right there. I don't understand why he couldn't have picked that up himself. Common sense would dictate that's what you should do. But oh well, Dean's now gonna create a passage for us across this river by smashing some icicles, because we couldn't do that ourselves. We're too lazy, just like Dean was too lazy to pick up his own damn wand. So anyway, we can now go across the river. Don't fall into the river, because you'll die and lose studs. For those who actually care about studs. Now we just got to, well, these things drop quite a few studs. We just got to build one of the statue thingies for the side of the gate. Because there's one on one side, but there's one missing from the other side, so obviously we need to get onto that. And yeah, if you head round here, you'll find this little box. When you go up to it at the time being, you'll just stick your hands inside and you'll find a copy of the Kibble, laugh at it, and it doesn't really do anything. After 6th year, once you've encountered it, it will become a means of getting hold of those weird glasses. I've forgotten the name of them for some reason. Spectre Specs, that's it. Yeah, that will change into a means to get the Spectre Specs. But for the time being, it can't really do anything but give you, Kibble laughs. Crumple horns, snorkax and stuff like that. But anyway, over here you'll find a shovel. I picked it up too early because at the moment I can't really give it to the guy that wants the shovel because he's on the other side of that ice. And we've got to melt that ice and, just a waste of time picking it up at the moment. If you head down there, once you've learnt Apparition, you can go down to that small section there. And you'll be able to get something down there. But at the moment, can't really do much about it because we don't know Apparition. We're not going to learn Apparition for quite a while. I didn't mean to pick that up. So we want to pick this up and give it to... yeah. Give it to the, the Dean look-alike, I think. Nope. This guy. Oh, girl! It's a girl! Is that Luna? It's hard to tell from this small screen and with that giant blue hat. But in any case, it's going to melt the ice for us. which is very helpful of her, because now we can get to the guy who wants the shovel. Only we're going to have to go and pick the shovel up again. Well, I am, but, you know, I'm going to have to pick the shovel up again, because I didn't think of swapping to a different character, you know, to pick up the other item that was needed. But yeah, if you drop an item, it will generally disappear after a while and reappear back in the place where you originally found it. It was the same thing in the first game. Nothing new. In here is 1 potion ingredient. 2 potion ingredients. Easy to find the ingredients here, really is. Just so easy to find. We've got this bloody annoying dancing skeleton. Sometimes you'll find them in areas where it just does not fit the mood, and they'll play this joyful music, and you're just thinking, no, that's not the music you ought to be playing. Like, he turns up in the, one level later on in the game where it's really tense and dark and stuff, and then just out of nowhere, when you build this skeleton, this joyful music plays, and it just doesn't suit the atmosphere at all. But anyway, scrape away the leaves, flowers, whatever they are, to get the last ingredient. And it's a strength potion. So, drink the strength potion. And the idea is that there's 2 flower carts, pull them away from each other. Destroy them, because, you know, we're vandals like that. We're all about the vandalism. And should leave behind some flowers, which we're going to give to this lass here. I think that's Cho, I'm not 100% sure. Cho being Harry's crush for this movie or film. Yeah. Okay, yeah, that sounds much better. Over here, there's a couple of digging spots. Speed up. Speed up, Crookshanks, come on. You can dig faster than that. We've seen you do it in the first game. So yeah, 2 holes to dig up. Neither of which have much substantial in them, if I remember rightly. So, however, we are going to need Crookshanks to go through that, I think. That pipe. There's also, obviously, that bird that drops one of the picture thingies. Over there is a faded Weasley box. Obviously, I'm yet to discuss them. Obviously, they're faded, so obviously not in use yet. But obviously, you just saw the a coloured wall that we just levitated upwards a minute ago. There it is. You need the Weasley box in order to get up that. So, and obviously it goes without saying, only Weasleys can use it. But, you know, we'll talk about it more when I come across it later on. So obviously once we've got all 4 pieces, you know, all the pieces down. I don't know if it was 4, but, you know, all the pieces down. Build it up. Pop it on here. The door to the Hogsheade pub opens. And we can go inside. Obviously quite a contrast to the Leaky Cauldron, which is quite busy. This is actually quite a little grubby pub in comparison. Okay, that's completely different. Okay, so you've got to go in there to pick up an item, which you give to Ginny, and Ginny is now on board with us. So Ginny needed to see a puppet show about Harry and Voldemort. That really makes a lot of sense. Never mind. This pub is small, so it's easy to find everything you need. You want to put that over here. There's only 2 more students now. I don't get why it's a Dementor when I was playing as Hermione and it's coming out of a trunk, which seems to suggest that it's a boggart. If that was the case, it should have changed into the teacher. Hermione's not scared of Dementors, not to the extent that Harry is. Even though Harry isn't really scared of them as such, but Dementors are Harry's boggart. And Professor McGonagall telling Hermione that she's failed everything is Hermione's boggart, just as Ron's boggart is a spider. I don't get why they changed that in this game. Probably because they couldn't have ridiculous anymore. But it doesn't matter, it's not like we encounter boggarts a whole lot anyway. In fact, we barely encounter them at all. So anyway, once you've, helped all the students out, we have the meeting, the level comes to an end, obviously, because we finished it. Cho swoons over Harry. Everyone collects the proper Defense Against the Dark Arts books. And the level comes to an end. Yeah, I was going to say something else, but it's obviously going to happen after this level complete screen. Yeah. So I finished the first Hunger Games book. It didn't take too long. Usually if I'm really into a book and I can't put it down, it doesn't take me long at all to finish it. And yeah, I've 2 chapters into the second book now. Still loving the experience, still loving the book. This trilogy of books, I should say. The series. Fantastic. See, that's what I was going to say. Evil Umbridge just changes all the books to stupid cat books again. Because for whatever reason, learning about cats is more important than learning to defend ourselves against the world. But of course there's nothing wrong with the world in her eyes, is there? Vile cow. So Neville comes across the Room of Requirement. Though it's worth pointing out that the Room of Requirement, in the book, it wasn't Neville that actually discovered the Room of Requirement. It was Dobby the house elf. But for whatever reason they didn't put him in the movie. They just changed it to Neville. It's not an issue. Not to me, but still. So anyway, hand over whatever it was to that student. He will magic a key out of thin air. And we can go in the direction of the Great Hall. Because that's roughly where we need to go to get to the Room of Requirement, which is obviously where we're headed now. It kind of makes very little sense to me that, because it, the impression it gives is that the Great Hall is on the same floor as the Room of Requirement. Yet in the book, from what I remember, it was on the 7th floor. Though obviously the door can appear anywhere. It is primarily the 7th floor. If I remember rightly, I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure that that's the case. Plenty of studs to collect around here. I do apologise, but addiction. So anyway, yeah, like I was saying, finished the first Hunger Games book and I'm 2 chapters into the second and I'm loving it so far. Highly recommend people pick up the first book. If you're into sort of like things where there's quite a lot of action and stuff goes on. It's not Harry Potter, but it's still a great book. Bit disturbing, but great. Very suspenseful. So, as I'll say, quite a lot of things to manipulate around here. In order to get studs, that is. Arigato? Okay, I'm starting to get bored of watching me collect bloody studs now. Come on, Harry. Enough of manipulating everything. We've got work to do. We've got a lesson to teach, you lazy layabout. But yeah, the room of requirement is over here. Now, if you've played Years 1 to 4, or at least seen my playthrough of it, you'll realise that over here was actually where you could enter the secret passage that took you into Hogsmeade. Here, it's completely changed. It now leads into the corridor leading up to the room of requirement. Not to mention that the witch statue that was in the way that prevented you from coming this way in the first game no longer exists, obviously, presumably because of the change. So that's where you find the Luna in her yellow dress. Character token, if anyone actually cares. The benches give you loads of studs, by the way. And yeah, there's the room of requirement. So let's go in